Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. Today's stories include wedding drama, entitled people, crazy sisters-in-law, inheritance dispute, grief, trauma, family problems and relationship issues. Let's start. Am I the idiot supporting my second husband when he kicked sister-in-law out of my daughter's wedding? I, 45, female, lost my first husband, Mike, when my eldest, Sarah, 28, was 10. Sarah got married 2 days ago. So, during the family gathering, after the ceremony party, I'm not sure what it is called abroad, a few of our family members, my dad, Mike's mom and one of his brothers, and my son, said a few speeches about her. It was all fine until my sister-in-law, Mike's sister, started her speech. She started talking about Mike, and the speech mentioned almost nothing about Sarah. The one thing mentioned about Sarah is that how she is proud Sarah didn't replace Mike with Jake, OP's current husband. She then brought up the topic of Mike's death, or more accurately how he died. Sarah always had nightmares and panic attacks about it. So we avoid that specific topic of him. And when my sister-in-law started going into detail about it, both she and my mother-in-law, Mike's mom, started having panic attacks. Jake and his siblings started telling sister-in-law to stop. Me, my siblings and Mike's brothers were too busy with Sarah and mother-in-law, she wouldn't stop. Long story short, they finally had to kick her out of the wedding. But yesterday, I have had people calling me to ask me to apologize to sister-in-law, because according to them while sister-in-law was wrong, it wasn't my husband's place to kick her out. So am I the idiot? Because I'm still in shock after what happened. I don't think I'm thinking clearly. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I supported my husband in kicking sister-in-law out. I refuse to apologize, even though here it is disrespectful to kick someone out of a wedding. OP also tell us. Info, how old was Sarah when you met Jake? What sort of relationship does Jake have with Sarah? And to get further dynamics of their relationship, who walked Sarah down the aisle? Sarah was about 20 years old, they don't have a dad-daughter relationship, they have what you can consider as a friendship. They spend time together, and do certain things together, but he isn't and never will be a dad to any of my kids. It was her godfather, me and Mike's best friend, who walked her down the aisle. Honestly, after what sister-in-law did, it was everyone's place to kick her out. She was malicious and inconvenient, she knew what she was doing, she knew she would cause this type of reaction to her niece, and to her own mother. And I'm not even gonna say she wanted to make the wedding about her deceased brother, the bride's dad, because what she really wanted was to make this moment about herself. She wanted to be the center of attention, but instead of showing up in a wedding dress, she decided to make a speech that no one would forget. Because even if she hadn't been kicked out of the party, everyone would have been talking about her, the bride's weird/morbid aunt, who kept talking about the tragic death of the bride's dad, and who made the bride and her grandmother have a panic attack about it. Who, once again, is the aunt's mother. She did that on purpose. Does she and her niece don't get along? Does she have a problem with her mother? I don't know, but I've had this many bad reactions from so many people, the speech was inappropriate, to say the least. I could even give her the benefit of the doubt, if she had stopped, after so many people asked her to, but she didn't, she continued with the same unpleasant subject, to the point of having to be escorted out of the gathering. And at this point, it doesn't matter if it was OP's husband, the bride's husband, the maid of honor, another family member, a guest, a waiter, anyone would have the right to remove that woman from the wedding. And the people who are saying OP's husband is in the wrong, are the ones who are wrong. What did they expect? That OP stopped taking care of her daughter and mother-in-law, so she could kick sister-in-law out herself? And give her more attention? Oh, for God's sake. No, thank you. Also, where were these people when the sister-in-law was doing all these shenanigans? What were they doing to help the situation? I answer. Nothing, they weren't doing anything, because if they were, they would have helped OP's husband kick her out and not complain about it. And what do you guys think of this situation? What would you do if you were there? What would you do if you were OP? Now let's read what the comments say about this. What the hell did I just read? So let me understand, your first husband's sister decided at your daughter's wedding to make a tragic speech about her brother that's passed away, for I don't know, let me guess, 5+ years. And now your family wants you to apologize, but your daughter, the bride, had a full-blown panic attack at her wedding, and that's probably ruined all her other memories of what should have been the best day of her life. Am I right? Because if I am, you are definitely not the idiot. Your sister-in-law is a witch. Sister-in-law is just evil. Both your mother-in-law and Sarah? What the hell? Not the idiot. Everyone acted to handle the situation. Honestly, whoever was closest to your sister-in-law should have thrown her out. This, and your second husband is a good dude. I'm sure he knew it could look bad that he was the one kicking her out, but he did it anyway, because it needed to be done and you needed to support your daughter. Good on him. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. He may not have replaced Mike, but at that ceremony Jake was there as your husband and as Sarah's stepfather, and he intervened on behalf of you and your daughter. He saw a fire that needed to be put out, and he did so. The only person who owes anyone an apology is your sister-in-law, who clearly was being too self-absorbed to read the room. Not the idiot, your sister-in-law behaved extremely inappropriately, it really doesn't matter who kicked her out. Self-absorbed my ass, she was told repeatedly to stop. Not the idiot OP, answer the a-hole berating you, that you were too busy trying to help your child and your mother-in-law, who were having panic attacks caused by sister-in-law, at your child's wedding, and couldn't throw her out yourself, and your husband took it over for you. And then block them. Not the idiot. So, do you agree with the comments? What advice would you give OP? How would you act with the sister-in-law? And what about the people who are complaining about her husband's attitude? What would you say to them? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Am I the idiot for telling my brother he should have been a better father if he didn't want his son taken away? My brother was a single dad for the first 6 years of his son's life. Then my brother met his wife Emma and Emma's son Logan. Logan and my nephew had a very oil and water relationship, and were not close at all. They were stepbrothers for about 18 months, and had known each other for about 3 years, when Logan died suddenly. Emma fell apart, unsurprisingly. My nephew confided in me, a few times, that he felt like everyone expected him to be feeling and reacting differently than he did. He told me he wasn't glad Logan was dead and it was sad, but he didn't feel like he lost anyone. He said he thought Emma was beginning to notice more, since he wasn't crying and didn't really have much trouble continuing with life as normal. I told him it was okay to feel that way, as long as he was compassionate of others, and if he needed to talk, he could always come to me. My nephew turned 17 3 months ago, and he begged to move in with my family. Things were bad with my brother and Emma. For about a year before, Emma had been quizzing my nephew about Logan, and all things connected, then before Christmas, she decided to spy on my nephew and his friend. His friend had lost his dad and sister in a car crash, and my nephew was consoling him. She heard my nephew say he hadn't ever experienced a personal loss before, and wasn't sure how it would go, but he would always let his friend talk. Emma went nuts on the boys, and chased the friend off, who was already upset. Wow. My nephew ended up yelling at her, and the other boy's mom and grandparents called my brother. My brother told my nephew he should be ashamed of himself for being so dismissive of his brother's death. This is when my nephew called. I was able to let him stay, mostly due to the police not wanting to drag him back to my brother's house. He called them. And I had already contacted CPS in order to talk about what was going on, and they sent someone to talk to my nephew, and then my brother and Emma. So my nephew gets to stay with me. My brother has accused me of taking his son away from him, and told me I should be ashamed of myself. He said it wasn't my place to get so involved. I told him I didn't take his son, he chose to leave, and that if he didn't want his son taken away, he should have been a better father. This is when he told me I was overstepping, and I should see his point of view, and how awful it is what my nephew has said and done. Am I the idiot? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I told my brother he should have been a better father, if he didn't want his son taken away. My reasons for questioning myself are: 1. By saying he did have his son taken away, I am making it sound like I was plotting to do it or something. The other part of me wonders if I should be doing more to try and help things between them, instead of coming down so hard on my brother. Now let's see what OP replied in the comments, and what more details they gave. Info: Am I right in thinking Logan passed away 8 years ago, so this tension has been bubbling along for all this time? Is Emma in grief counseling? It sounds like your brother isn't only failing as a parent, but also as a husband. If he's failing to get his wife the support she needs, if she's still punishing her stepson for her son's untimely death. Yes, that is correct. Nephew is 17? Heck, the emancipation paperwork should be easy, and I recommend doing that if he plans on going to college, so he doesn't have to get their participation for FAFSA. Then he is as a stranger to them, and can live wherever he wants. Emancipation is not something he qualifies for, unfortunately. He did ask about it when he came to live with us. OP, I do have a question. Does it seem to you that Emma somehow blames your nephew for Logan's death? No, but I do think there's a hate for him there. Look, maybe Emma doesn't blame him for her son's death, but I do think she feels resentment that her son died and OP's nephew is alive. I know, it might not make sense, and honestly it doesn't, but grief isn't rational, just like OP's sister-in-law's actions. I also think she feels angry that her stepson doesn't miss her son, that even though they weren't close, I think she and her husband believed that nephew considered Logan as a brother, and realizing that isn't the case made her go crazy, so to speak. But OP's nephew isn't wrong here, even if sister-in-law thought it was strange that he didn't show sadness right after her son's death. She has no right to do what she did. It's like I said before, just because you live in the same house with someone, doesn't mean you will consider that person as family. OP's nephew did feel Logan's death, just not in the way he would if he lost someone close to him, not in the way his dad and stepmother wanted. But he didn't do anything wrong, and OP didn't do anything wrong by taking his nephew out of that house, especially when he's not only been on the receiving end of his stepmother's wrath, but also his father's. OP's sister-in-law needs help, and OP's brother is not helping either his wife or his son with his disregard for this matter, especially when he accuses his own son of being a monster. I can only imagine how bad this situation was for the boy asked to leave home. It couldn't have been easy to live in that house. So, OP is not the idiot, because of what they did for nephew, nor because of what they said to brother. Since he's the idiot. And what did you guys think of this situation? What would you do if you were OP? What advice would you give this family? Now let's read what the comments have to say and what more information OP gave in their replies. Not the idiot. If I am reading the timeline right, this kid died when he was 9, and now he's 17, and Emma and your brother are losing their minds that your nephew isn't grieving enough, and are spying on his social interactions, to see whether he's sufficiently sad? That's wild. Both of them need professional help. Not the idiot, Emma needs help. It sounds like they weren't a blended family for very long before Logan died, and the boys hadn't forged a connection yet. Emma is being extremely unfair to the kid for not developing that connection in 3 years, when I highly doubt she's made a connection between herself and her stepson in a longer span of time. Your brother has been sticking his head in the sand. Not the idiot. Remind your brother that 1. What he said wasn't awful, he was expressing his feelings. 2. If his wife had respected his child's privacy, and minded her business, she wouldn't have heard it in the first place. They brought this on themselves. Not the idiot. You are giving a safe space for a young adult who needs it. Could you have worded it a bit nicer to your brother? Sure, but he needed to hear it. Not the idiot. Your brother and Emma are terrible parents and people. Please get some therapy for your nephew. Help him ignore the toxic parents. Your brother chose Emma, but your nephew didn't have a choice about Logan. If he had, he probably would not have wanted to share his home. They can be sad that the love they feel wasn't shared by all four of them, but they can't punish someone to grieve. Not the idiot. And what about you guys? Do you agree with the comments? What other advice would you give OP? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Oh, are you enjoying the video so far? If so, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. This really helps the channel, so I appreciate it. Now let's go to the next story. Am I the idiot for wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt to my first meeting with my girlfriend's parents? I, 28, male, have been dating my girlfriend, 23, female, for a few months. Things have gone well, we get along well so far, and I really care about her, and hope things work out with us. Anyway, she recently invited me to come over, and have dinner with her parents at their home. She still lives with them for now. We are getting more serious and they wanted to meet me. If it's relevant, her parents are Indian immigrants to the US, and I am white. So, I thought it was a completely casual meeting, and I wore an Iron Maiden t-shirt. Oh, boy. I do happen to like the band, but that's not even why I wore it, that's just how I dress, and that shirt just happened to be clean that day. I went and met her parents, and thought we'd had a good meeting. However, my girlfriend is not happy with me. She feels as if me, dressing in a t-shirt, rather than a nicer button-up shirt was bad enough, but that wearing a shirt with skulls on it was, in her words, just obnoxious. Jesus. I honestly just dressed for the meeting, the way I usually do, and didn't even think about it. I think that if she had certain standards, she should have communicated them to me beforehand. But she thinks that what I did was obviously stupid and inappropriate, and that I should have known better. Is she right, or is she being too critical? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I should have maybe worn a more neutral shirt to my first meeting, with my girlfriend's traditional Indian parents. I can see how an Iron Maiden shirt may have come off as a little aggressive. Let's get this out of the way, she's right. She is completely right. Dude, you were going to meet your girlfriend's parents for the first time, whether they are conservative or not. There is an implied dress code for this type of situation. And for the love of God, even if you didn't need to dress up, and her parents were chill, which I don't think is the case, you should not, I repeat, you should not wear a shirt with a skull on it to meet your girlfriend's parents. Look, I also like Iron Maiden, although I prefer Metallica, but I wouldn't wear a t-shirt from either of them, the first time I met the family of someone I was dating. Unless this happened at a concert, at a music festival, in the middle of the street or something like that, which was not the case here. OP. Come on, man, you really messed up. This is not just about whether it was supposed to be a casual meeting or not, but about respect for the parents and your girlfriend, and also on how serious you are about this relationship, and unfortunately with that attitude, you give off the vibe that you don't care much about their opinion or their approval. I get that this wasn't your intention, but unfortunately that is what happened. This relationship has an expiration date. Yikes, I really hope not. I love her and she hasn't broken up with me yet over this. Hopefully she won't. So far we seem to have gotten past this, but if your prediction comes true, I will certainly take my mistakes to heart. Have you learned anything from this? Absolutely. I need to treat my relationship with her with more love and care. I really misjudged things, and want to show her parents that I'm a serious adult, who is good for their daughter. I'm glad that OP understood that he made a mistake and is willing to try to fix it. I hope things between OP and his girlfriend get sorted out, and that her parents don't fixate on this first meeting. And what is your opinion regarding this? What advice would you give OP? Do you think his relationship is at risk? What would you do if you were OP's girlfriend? Would you have the same reaction as her, or what he was wearing would not be important to you? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Now let's read what the comments say. You are the idiot. Because you're an adult, meeting someone's parents generally isn't an overly casual thing, unless they specify that their parents are casual as well. Surely you own a nicer shirt than an Iron Maiden t-shirt, being an adult and all. Didn't even think about it. Maybe she wants someone who does put a little thought into the relationship? OP's decision here is likely to make her life harder, and he doesn't seem to care. OP, are you a 3-year-old? The first impression is the most important part of a relationship. Now you will have to spend an incredible amount of effort to change the shitty first impression you gave. OP, you are thoughtless and it shows. I was shitting bricks when I met my in-laws for the first time. Because having them on your side helps so much to reduce the stress your partner has in the relationship. I know this is hard, but think about this. Every time she speaks to her parents, they are going to nag at her about how you really don't measure up. You are the idiot. Yeah, dude, come on. High school kids have more sense than that. I realize the world is in take me as I am mode, but the reality is meeting the parents is a big deal. If you don't even put the most basic effort into it, you're just telling them and your girlfriend the relationship isn't that important to you. I'm amazed at the people acting like meeting the parents is a one-way street here, and that he is expected to be 100% deferential. If there was an expectation, it should have been communicated to him. And in the absence of that, it is perfectly valid for an adult to dress however they feel comfortable. They're all adults. They don't get to dictate how other adults dress, nor do they get to dictate who she dates. And if they do, well, I'd like to get that out in the open, as soon as possible, personally. You did nothing wrong, OP, and the people insinuating that what you did was childish are the ones ironically being most childish. Adults don't whine about what other adults they know are wearing. Better to set the expectation that you don't dress up in formal wear in casual settings. And what about you guys? Do you agree with the comments? What else would you say to OP? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. And that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.